Good day to you, peoples of the internet. Today I have Alex Christy with me, who is a professional coach helping small business owners and entrepreneurs with their personal and career development. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Alex.
Thanks. Well, I absolutely love coaching. That's the first thing to know about me is it's definitely a passion, and I care about the people I work with quite a lot. But a little about my background, I'm actually an engineer. I have an MBA, and I've been working in professional management capacity in business building for over 15 years. And so I've worked with folks in all different industries, many technical people, and a lot of folks who are entrepreneurs and have built their own businesses or on the path to doing so. So folks who are in management or leadership and are working their way up and learning how to do this on their own. And I just recently decided to move that expertise and my passion to form a coaching business myself. Even though I've been doing coaching for many years, I've just recently actually got my own business off the ground as well. And so it's quite a joy for me to work with folks who have that drive and that energy and passion to do your own thing and make your own success with your own team that you create and help them through that journey. It can be so stressful as much as it is rewarding when you're on that path, whether that's a manager as part of a big company or doing your own thing. And that's where I come into play, really, is to work with people on that path to make sure they don't lose themselves and also put in strategies in place to help build the business in a healthy way. I had to take my own advice here and bring in my own help that I have in my coaching practice. I'm
What
sorry.
kind of help did you get?
Well, several types. I needed help with marketing, and I also needed help with learning how to use social media effectively. That's not something that came naturally to me. And I recognized within 3 months of starting my business that those were really important for my business to function well, and that I was not the expert, and no amount of YouTube videos was going to be sufficient. And so I took on two different professional services who do this for a living, and they know how to tailor it to my type of business. They work with coaches specifically. So for me, that was a good fit. And they're the professionals. They taught me what pieces I needed to do, and then they did all the other pieces. And that's just this decision you have to make. It's about investment, and it's also about what's necessary to achieve your next step. If you want to leave everything the way it is, status quo, then nothing will change. That's fine. But if you're not feeling satisfied or you're not feeling passionate about your work anymore, or you're not achieving what you're looking for, whether it's financially or time at home or anything that you're looking to achieve, if you're not there, if you're not fully satisfied, then you've got to look at making those changes and investments. And then sometimes it's money, sometimes it's time, sometimes it's a new idea. It can be anything of that nature, but you have to want to make a change. And I did. It worked for me. I feel much happier going forward.
Look at that. How authentic that is. A page from your own book, right? Right there.
Exactly.
And it's working. So you walk the walk and talk the talk, right? Very good.
Yep.
Very good. So tell us, how did you acquire the skills to help other business owners? Where does that come from?
That's actually a really interesting question. Well, a lot of it has to do with what I've done in my engineering management career. A big chunk of that, the roles that I've held were building new relationships with clients for the business that I'm working with. And that starts with just personal relationships. You can never get to here's a technical solution that I would like to sell you until I have a personal relationship with you. And so I learned by having these kinds of roles on the ground where you're trying to build up new teams, build new relationships with clients. And I'm talking about big OEMs, like major industry players that I was working on behalf of. So it's not like you're selling a small financial commitment. We were talking about major partnerships where the customers could potentially provide 10 to 15 million dollars worth of my company in a year or a few years. So they're really big contracts. And in order to convince a client, say, I've never worked with you before, how am I going to partner with you on this technical service solution? I had to learn how to form these relationships with people. And then internally, how do I create a business that's going to deliver those? And so for over 5 years, one of my key jobs was hiring people, training them, creating a team from scratch, and standing them up on highly technical engineering work for a client who has very mature processes and expects another team to come in and do them exactly the same way as they would, maybe even better. And so to do that, I had to learn about building teams, how to get the best out of people, how to help people develop themselves, how to use those management techniques and leadership techniques to succeed sort of despite the odds. And, I've been working in these teams that are multinational for a long time before we really had video chats and things like that to help collaboration. And of course, these tools are readily available now. So that makes it a lot easier when you're working in that setting. But I had to do that when your only form of communication was an email, possibly, where you have language barriers, you have cultural barriers, and you're dealing with very technical work on top of that. Especially a lot of the clients I work with were in aerospace. So aerospace and medical devices are very, very technical, and there's many requirements, and there's no room for error. You don't get second tries. So that's the type of environment I kind of grew up in my professional career. And when you can do it there, what you learn is the common factor is the people and how you lead the people, because they're smart engineers all over the world.
Hmm. So all the skills to teach other business owners come from your experience. Did you take any form of communication training or any trainers training, let's say, or just training
Well,
at
of
all?
course. As you said before, I always try to take my own advice, and the where advice came from is because I took lots of training and I've loved it. I am the kind of person who will always look for an opportunity to learn and take advantage of everything offered to me. And so over my career, of course, I went and completed my MBA, which has some of these topics. But beyond that, I have taken several communications courses, leadership development courses. I actually do that on a regular basis. Every couple of
Oh, right.
years, I'm refreshing and taking something new. I've taken coaching certification courses, of course, as well, which have some of these elements, but also business classes, financial classes. And all of these I do on a regular basis because I'm a person who loves to learn, and I also love to pass on. One of the things that I do with clients and also in other work that I do is I do training sessions, I facilitate workshops
Mhm.
where we teach and learn, because I think as humans, that's a desire we have, is to always self-improve, kind of keep working on ourselves. And
Yeah.
that's one way to do it. So it was a very natural fit for me to now offer the things I have learned through many different courses to others, because if you study it and then you practice it and implement it, you see the value, then you can offer that to someone else for them to try. And if it works for them, that's great. But if it doesn't, you still offered something for them to consider.
So which of the programs that you have taken did you find the most beneficial? So let's say if there was someone listening who is considering taking a coaching certification or kind of uh, getting their feet into this, where should they start?
I love that question. And I have two answers. One is you should start with whatever resonates for you where you are. Everything that I've taken and been interested in, I found something that I learned of value. And at that time where I was in my personal journey, that was perfect for me. And it may not have been the right thing for me earlier or later, but it was at that time. So don't ever out on something just because you don't know if it's the perfect thing. But there is
Okay.
one specific thing I would love to recommend for people to start with. This is one of the things that's been the most dramatic for me in terms of to learn. It's called Positive Intelligence. That's the
All
name of
right.
the book. It's also the name of the website, and it's also the name of the course. And it's
Wow,
created
Shirzad, right?
by, yes, it's
Yeah,
really
because
great.
I'm actually just taking the course right now.
Oh,
I'm on week 2.
oh, we'll stick with it. It's worth the journey. It's actually something I've maintained even after completing the 6-week intensive period. I'm maintaining it because I found it so powerful for myself.
Hmm.
So it's by Shirzad Chamin for anyone who has not seen it yet. And if you get into it, you're like, oh, this is about your brain. This isn't about leadership or it's about business. but it is. Okay, it's all about how do you use your brain in a way that's the most helpful and not let it, hold you back. And it leads to greater personal fulfillment and just being a happier person, which lets you do the same for others, and it lets you perform at your absolute best. So it really is, it is a
You're
tool
happy.
for that. Yeah, I would definitely
It's great.
recommend it.
Yeah. I was at a conference a couple of months ago, and they had a workshop at the conference. I was fascinated by it, so I signed up, and honestly, it's very interesting. Definitely, I do recommend it
Yeah,
to you a lot.
absolutely. I highly recommend this even to folks, even if you're not interested in, a management career or a coaching career. If that's not your thing, it's really, it doesn't matter. That's still really about how to be your best possible you in a way that it's broken down to the fundamentals. So anyone can understand it. It's not full of a bunch of like code speak that, sometimes you get into therapists or psychologists, they talk about the stuff in neuroscience and you're like, what's that? No, and it's in very plain that's easy to understand and easy to recognize how it fits in with your own habits and mental patterns.
You said something really interesting there that I picked up on, and you mentioned management or coaching, and that's an interesting comparison. That management is kind of transitioning more into coaching people or actually leading teams is like being a coach. And recently, coaching has been getting a lot of bad rap. I feel like publicly because suddenly everyone is a coach and people, well, they like this label so much, or I don't know, this label
Yeah.
is getting a bit wishy-washy. What does
Yes.
coaching mean to you? Like, what is coaching?
Oh, what a great question. Because you're absolutely right. The word, it's a very common word. As you know, we use it in a lot of aspects of our life, and it means different things to different people. And if you're talking about it from a professional standpoint, for me, the standard of being a coach is very high. Whereas I know not everyone treats it that way. But in my opinion, if you're going to do something as a profession, as a service to others, you have to put in the time and expertise to be good at it and get certified, which of course I've done on my own. But coaching to me, again, is done by a professional, not an amateur who likes to give advice, in a newspaper column or something like that. Coaching is about helping an individual explore their own needs, talents, roadblocks, and through conversation, guiding them to overcome those and achieve whatever their goal is. Now, coaching, of course, typically has a specific focus, whether it's a fitness coach, nutrition coach, leadership, family and relationships. So there are specific focus areas. But the coaching process and what an effective coach does is it helps the client or the individual learn how to explore their own self, their own thoughts, their own feelings, their own desires, and helps them learn how to articulate those and then also learn how to take action and hold themselves accountable. It's not about giving advice. It's not the same as a consultant. It's not someone who to cry on their shoulder or just to listen to, an aspect of it, but it's not effective on its own. It's about helping the person learn how to lead themselves. And that's where my comparison a little bit of good managers are often good coaches. Not always, but I find that there is a parallel there. And it's because a good manager lets someone have their own journey of self-discovery and along the way removes roadblocks, supports them, pushes them out of their comfort zone, and provides resources to them. And that's very similar to what a good, effective coach is. It's again, it's not about spoon feeding you or telling you you have to learn these three things. That's not effective when someone else is telling you this is how to live your life. What you need is, or what is most effective, I find, from a coaching perspective is to do share ideas and plant seeds and share information, but you do it in such a way that it is available to the client and to the person to evaluate, use their own mind, make their own decision. Is this for me? Does this feel right? Is that the right direction? Am I feeling ready to try something new and do or accomplish something I've been wanting to do for a long time and make the decision themselves to do it? That's what a great coach is. It's never about giving someone a plan to follow or an exact map. It's about giving them the nudges they need for their own journey.
It sounds like a mind gym to me. Like it's like being a mental trainer.
Well,
So
it's about being a good partner is another way to put it. It's a very simple word. A good partner is another
okay.
way to put it.
So when you say like it's not about giving strategies or telling people what to do, like someone was to provide the strategy for somebody or how to succeed. Like here's a roadmap, you follow this, you come out on the other end, and you have what you want. What would you call that?
Oh, I would call it a consultant.
Okay.
However, I do believe there's a place for some of that in coaching. The important thing for me is that it has to be done in a way that it's not shoving information down someone's throat or telling them this is the only path to success. When you offer up, as a coach, if I offer up some information, a recommendation, some resources that can be used, or a strategy, when I offer something like that up, I'm not going to tell a client, this is the only way you can succeed here. I'm going to tell them, this is one idea. Does this sound like something you would want to do? Is it of interest? Is it aligned to you? And if not, maybe I'll offer something else up. But it's very different than maybe a traditional, for instance, teaching approach where it's this is the curriculum. This is the only way you succeed and do it my way or don't do it. That really doesn't work to help people their own leader. And that's what an effective coach really does is help you do that. We can certainly provide some of those resources along the way, but it's not meant to be a dictation in one direction.
So I heard you also say not to shout at people. So you wouldn't recommend coaches to follow surgeon's path?
That is the most opposite thing to my style of coaching as I can imagine. Um, the very first thing that was taught in my coaching certification courses, and it completely resonates with me, that they say is create a safe place for your clients. If your client does not feel safe with you, they are not going to be able to go on that inward journey and explore their own roadblocks and needs and wants and what's going on for them. If you're feeling unsafe because you think you're going to be shouted at, or you think you'll be in trouble, or be a negative consequence externally if you do or don't do something, which just kind of what that would be, that setup. You have to put on your defenses. And when you're defensive, you can't think clearly. All you can do is react. You go into your lizard brain, and you are able to do is react to the situation in a very emotional way. We are very emotional beings. We humans, that's part of the human condition and what makes things so challenging, but also so enriching to be alive as a human. But we have multiple aspects of our brain, and the piece that our original survivor instinctual brain, that's what comes out when you're in an unsafe environment. And unsafe doesn't necessarily just mean physically unsafe. I mean, that's what many of us think of, but emotionally unsafe or mentally unsafe. And if you're working with someone like a coach, or someone like a manager, or someone who is meant to be helping you on your path, if there are going to be negative things that happen in that experience, it doesn't really support the process of you going inside and really exploring. And so that's my approach, and one of the reasons I feel so strongly about coaches, being certified and keeping up on their training and higher and continuing education in the field to be really good at it is very important. It's a part of the integrity of being a coach is creating that safe place and encouraging people to have those conversations and inward looks. Because if think about any tough thing that you've overcome in your life, everyone can do this. You close your eyes and you think about something difficult that I did. Maybe it was a decision, or I was in a bad situation, or maybe I was struggling with some mental health and some depression, whatever it is. Think about something you've overcome. If you look back and say, well, how did I overcome that? You had to take yourself on an emotional and mental journey through it, work through some things, and then come out on the other side. you can't do that if you're not feeling safe in the place where you can make those explorations. So it's really important to give ourselves the permission and safety to do that.
Hmm. It's a very interesting insight and fantastic approach. But as you say this, inevitably the military training comes to mind, where they use the complete opposite of this, where they break people down and build them back up in this uniformity so that they operate as a unit like a well-oiled and greased machine, and they accomplish great things, unachievable things to ordinary human beings as a result of that. So even though they apply a completely different approach, maybe in some areas of life or a certain type of people that could work also, right? Or what's your take on that?
Absolutely. Oh, I do believe that that has a really important role in human society. Everyone is different. Everyone has a different amount of, impetus to be an entrepreneur, to do your own thing. Some people prefer more structured environments. Some people are more external with their emotions. Some are more internal and more analytical. Every person is unique and beautiful and different. And that diversity is what makes us really amazing as a human race. And for many people, a structured environment like that is extremely successful for them and helps them build up in a way that works for them. So I would not detract away from that at all. The type of coaching that I do, and many coaches who work in leadership and with small business owners, is a very different approach because it's looking at leveraging diversity in a completely different way. And I think both are fully of value and can work just as well for certain people. For me, this works really well. I'm always thinking about a big strategy. I'm always looking at how I can go and do things differently. I have a lot of personal initiative and drive to get things done. That's just my personal temperament. And so for someone like me, this kind of coaching is very supporting and helps me succeed to my best. Everyone learns in their own way and everyone succeeds in a different environment. And so if you know what works best for you, that's one way you can decide if a coach is the right thing for you or maybe something else.
So how can somebody find out like what suits their personality type, what works best for their personality type, or what is best aligned with them?
Oh, well, there's two things. One is try it, try and see what works. One of the best pieces of advice that I've ever read from business, but it really works in life. This is actually from a book that I've read, is try lots of small experiments. And then when you find something that succeeds, you invest big in that. Try a big one, but try lots of little things and see what works. The other thing is be really honest with yourself when you're thinking about different options and you're reflecting inside. For some people, we can tend to try to make a decision analytically, a pro and con list, maybe a price versus cost, something very mathematical and black and white. But that's not really very helpful when you're trying to find out what's the best for you, what kind of environment works for you. What you should do instead is check in with your emotions. It aligns with you, you're going to have some feelings. It may be expressed physically in your body, even. You remember a situation you were in, and while remembering it, you get tense up here in your neck and shoulders, or your posture changes. Or maybe you get a slight stomach ache. Those are signs to you that whatever that environment was that you're remembering is not healthy. It doesn't work for you.
Hmm.
You get a different memory if you immediately relax, you start smiling or humming to yourself and you don't even realize. That's another signal that actually is something good for you. And so if you pay attention to those signals from your body, and if you get really good at this in practice, looking at your internal alignment, sometimes you can interpret it without the physical piece. But start with those physical things. Is you tapping your foot on the floor? Is that because you're so impatient you can't wait to get out of there? Are you clenching your hands? Those little things are signs to you. Your body is telling you whether something aligns or it doesn't, down in the inside. And so if you pay attention to those scenarios as they happen in your daily life, you'll know what kind of situations you feel comfortable, which kind of situations are more than comfortable, actually make you alive,
Hmm.
and which situations shut you down.
All right. Well, thank you very much for sharing all this information. if somebody wants to contact you for business coaching, for leadership development, for executive coaching on how to build a team and how to scale their company, where can they reach you, Alex?
Thank you for asking that. Yes, I am on social media platforms. I use LinkedIn. You can search for my name, Alex Christy, or for my company name, Vermarine. That's Vermarine. It's another name for green quartz. If you are wondering, how did I come up with that? Green's my favorite color. So green quartz is kind of a symbol representing my coaching aspirations. So LinkedIn, Facebook, my website, vermarineconsulting.com, any of those, reach out to me and I'll instantly message you back and can connect from there.
Awesome. We'll put those links in the description below as well and in the comments on LinkedIn. So you can find Alex Christy for some executive and leadership coaching to help you build your teams as well. Thank you very much for being with us. And I look forward to continuing our chat after the broadcast ends. Thank you.
My
And bye-bye.
pleasure. Thank you.